Hi everyone, a very good evening to all. So let us wait for a few more minutes while the other folks log into the webinar. Hello everyone, welcome once again. So thank you for joining us. My name is Sundar. I'm a senior digital marketing manager here at Social Beat, and I'm going to be today's host for the webinar. Today we are going to talk about mobile advertising using zero marketing budgets. Yes, you heard it right. Mobile advertising using zero marketing budgets in this session. So I'm pretty much excited, like as others as well. And we will be taken over by Shane. So Shane is one of the star CSMs at AppsFlyer. His passion is helping customers achieve their desired outcomes with 100% integrity, commitment, and conviction. He was named one amongst the top 100 customer success strategists by MindTouch in 2018. He has over 5 years of experience in mobile and advertising space, working at the intersection of cutting-edge technology and client servicing. So he has completed his post-graduation from SP Dean School of Global Management, specialized in marketing, where he received Student Life for Excellence Award. Welcome, Shayan.
Thank you so much, Sundar, for the lovely introduction.
Yes. So I would like to give outline about today's agenda. So we'll be starting about first on how was the digital adoption during the pre-COVID stage. So how was it what was the trends? What kind of trends were emerging, etc. And second is impact of COVID and marketing, like how after COVID, how the marketing has been completely impacted, whether positive or negative, for which industry, how it is. We'll be walking you through that. And what are the consumer trends which has been observed during the COVID? Next is what is the marketing funnel and what kind of goals can we look at? And how do we maximize the marketing efficiency? And finally, 5 must-dos to navigate the new normal. So that is going to be the agenda for today's session. At the end, we'll be taking up questions from the audience. So request you to please post it in the chat and keep it more interactive so that we'll be able to help you with all your queries. Now, without further ado, handing over to Shreyan.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Sundar, for the lovely introduction and setting up the flow for today's session and covering the agenda part of the today's session as well. So without further ado, let's just quickly dive into the today's section. First, let's understand the pre-COVID digital adoption trends. Now, India is a land of opportunity. And talking about the digital adoption rate with respect to the internet users in India, back in 2019, just like last year, we had over 525 million internet users. And this is primarily a jump of over 80% compared to 2016 data. And in fact, this is even expected to increase and cross by over 600 million mark by the end of December 2021. The overall data traffic in India has also increased by over 47%. And the primary drivers for this increase are the availability of cheaper internet options to the consumers. We have also seen that mobile data consumption among the consumers on an average has increased. On an average, people are now consuming more than ever. There's 11 GB of data on an average being consumed on a smartphone device per month by every Indian. Now, talking about the average time spent, Indians are spending more time than ever on their smart devices. On an average, they spend more than 3.5 hours per day. Now, this is an increment of over 25% compared to the 2017 data, where Indians used to spend almost 2.8 hours per day. Talking about the India's app trends. Now, India is a home primarily to more than 500 million smartphone users. Basically, 1 in every 2 Indians now own a smart device. That means with over 77% of Indians now have access to the wireless broadband services. Over 19 billion apps were downloaded by Indians, let alone in 2019, and that is a significant jump compared to the 2016 data of over 195%. This means that more number of apps were downloaded by Indians than residents of any other country. And to add upon that, Indians have spent over $370 million on mobile apps, let alone across all the categories. When it comes to mobile ad spends, compared to the 2016 data, there was a significant jump. In 2016, mobile ad spends were close to 0.2 billion US dollars. And this was increased significantly in 2019 to 1.1 billion US dollars. And this is across the display, which includes banners, videos, rich media, and also the search campaigns. Now, the thing here to note is that primarily, as you see, as India is transforming to be a digital economy, where the internet and smartphone penetration rates are higher than ever, people are consuming more data than ever, thus giving marketers an opportunity to reach out to consumers across all the channels and have an unprecedented growth. While everybody was happy in this case as India was transforming to be a digital economy, but then suddenly COVID came and changed the entire digital landscape. Let us have a look of how COVID impacted the marketing landscape across different verticals. So at AppsFlyer, we did a survey with marketers, understanding how they are revisiting their marketing strategies and analyzing their marketing spends. And we saw the results as almost 1/3 of the consumers have currently either have paused their campaigns or have reduced their paid campaign volumes. And this is primarily because they are the ones who are being heavily impacted. Their cash flows, their revenues, everything has taken a steep decline and are at all-time low. This is primarily because they fall under the app categories such as taxi aggregators, or they include such as event management, or they are a part of the ones verticals which were badly impacted because of the COVID. While talking about the other segment, such as in which almost 16.1% of the marketers, in fact, have increased their spends and are spending more heavily than ever. These include the verticals such as the streaming services in India, the apps that fall under the healthcare for that matter in India. So these are the ones which are, for them, COVID has proved to be a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, even for gaming, like we have been seeing like increased traction. Many of them are like bullish about during this COVID situation.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. In fact, the trend that we have seen is that over 11% of the traffic has increased compared to the pre-COVID times. So during the COVID, people are spending more time on gaming applications than ever. Gaming and streaming, these two have proved to be a boon for the business out there in India.
Right.
So in fact, even the times of uncertainty brings some clarity, right? So the marketers are now revisiting their strategies, analyzing their spends, and the primary focus right now has been in fact retention and then brand awareness.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So now talking about across the app categories, how the in-app activity happened and how the revenues were there. So we saw that as soon as India entered the lockdown phase, the revenues took a steep decline. At the same time, we saw an overall growth in terms of organic traffic as well as the total number of sessions. And this was across all app categories. Now let's see how the COVID has impacted for certain app categories. Start with understanding the apps that falls under the finance loans categories. Here, as soon as the lockdown was implemented, we saw that especially the finance loans category had a steep decline in terms of revenues, and these revenues were at an all-time low. In fact, we also saw that for them installs, total sessions, everything took a steep decline. And this is primarily because of the two reasons. One, the end consumers, they were badly impacted because of the COVID. And second, because of the new guidelines and regulations set up by the RBI, which has made even tougher for the repayments and collections parts than usual. Talking about the apps that fall in the food category, even they have seen a steep decline in terms of revenues. But as and when the government has slowly and steadily lifted down the lockdown in a phased approach, we have seen that their revenues have also been growing steadily. In fact, they are the ones that have to do a very heavy lifting in establishing trust amongst the consumers. Hence, they were the ones who were the first ones, in fact, to implement this contactless delivery services, and which became the need of the hour. And then following other business vertical categories also adopted this.
Yeah, also interesting to note that like
Yes.
organic installs are higher in number compared to even like non-organic. So,
Yes, absolutely. So during the lockdown phase, the primary reason is that everybody is at home and people are consuming more data than ever. So in fact, all the categories have seen a great amount of organic growth. Yeah. Talking about the apps that fall into the education sector, they have seen a true roller coaster ride. In fact, as you see that India is working in India, the next phase is actually a remote working culture, and everybody is working from home. So everybody is trying to upskill themselves to be prepared for the next phase of their career. Hence, we have seen a tremendous organic traffic for the education app sector. People are taking up new hobbies and learning new things. So their organic traffic, their revenues, total number of sessions, everything has taken a huge bump amazingly well. Talking about the apps that falls under the shopping category, in fact, for them, revenues plummeted at the start, but as and when India slowly started to lift the lockdown, in fact, their revenues were even higher compared to the pre-COVID days. As you know that people are shopping online, they are in fact consuming more data than ever online. They prefer to shop online rather than taking the risk of exposing themselves. Talking about the casual gaming app category, for them, again, COVID has been a blessing in disguise. For them, organic traffic has increased drastically, as Sundar was saying. Uh, and for them, in fact, the total number of sessions and revenues have been much higher than ever. And lastly, the apps that fall under the streaming category, right? For them, again, as the TV productions have halted and no longer the new episodes are being airing in the TVs, hence, for the entertainment needs, people are now moving towards the streaming apps such as Netflix or Hotstar or Amazon Prime, as it has become the only source of entertainment for them. So they are consuming more time and spending more time on entertainment and streaming apps more than ever. So we have seen a higher organic, non-organic, highest total number of sessions, and especially the revenues for them. COVID proved to be a boon for them, in fact. Now that we have seen how the COVID impacted across certain verticals and different app categories, now let's have a look at how the consumers were behaving during the COVID times. Even the uncertain times bring some clarity, as I say. People are avoiding the most common places, and this is the new reality. The digital consumption amongst the consumers is growing, and this presents a unique opportunity for marketers, as internet has become a true source of medium for consumers to get all the information that they need in real time. So here we have listed some of the consumer trends on how consumers are behaving online.
it's interesting to know that what's open near them seems to be like over 59%.
Yes, absolutely. So the thing is, basically, they want to get more clarity. They want to understand as the business models are changing. Everybody is preferring a contactless delivery solutions. So they want as detailed and as accurate information as possible online on what and how they can get what they need primarily. So hence we have seen a huge traffic in terms of searching of what's open near them, and also the search for essentials only grew by 3x.
Yeah.
In fact, as we spoken in the earlier slides, that education as a category grew tremendously. They had highest organic traffic than ever. People are online trying to upskill themselves or learning a new hobby. So the learn online queries, in fact, grew by over 85%. The great part is that smartphone adoption also increased by 12.5% a day. As we were talking, this is primarily because of the two factors. One is streaming and the other one is gaming. People are more online than ever. They are spending more time on gaming applications than ever. And in fact, people are spending more time on streaming devices than ever. They have seen a significant bump in terms of their organic traffic. Coming to the time spent in gaming, it is up by 11% compared to the pre-COVID times. And as it's the need of the hour, people are adopting to the touchless payment solutions, as all the businesses have been impacted because of the COVID, and touchless payment solutions are the way forward. Talking about the social media usage trends, we have seen over 87% increase compared to the pre-COVID times. Now that brings us to the next slide, which talks about how the consumers were behaving across certain app categories and how COVID has impacted these categories. This is divided into 4 buckets: the explosion, growth, slowdown, and emergence. And talking about how the COVID has proved to be a boon for certain app categories in India. It includes the apps that fall under the video conferencing categories, the social media category, and the entertainment category. For them, they have seen a tremendous increase in terms of their active number of users. And in fact, their downloads also increased significantly. On the other hand, talking about certain verticals such as mobility, real estate, or food delivery, and the travel and hospitality, these sectors have been majorly impacted. And consumers were hardly online and consuming data. Their downloads decreased, their organic traffic decreased, and their revenues, cash flows were affected. In fact, their active users decreased to the lowest possible values. Now let's have a look on how consumers are behaving online, right? Their digital media consumption patterns, their purchase patterns, and their payment patterns. When it comes to the consumption of media, we saw that people are more online than ever, playing games, consuming data in the form of news, and watching videos. This traffic increased by approximately 1.2x compared to the pre-COVID times. Let alone when it comes to the purchases, for the fresh food category, we have seen a significant growth of about 1.7x, staples by 1.4x, and personal care by 1.3x. This is primarily because people are shopping online and avoiding the risk of getting exposed. And thirdly, when it comes to digital payments, even the banking solution providers have seen a huge traffic in their offerings of net banking solutions. This has grown by over 1.2x compared to the pre-COVID times. Now that you know how as a marketer, you know how the COVID has impacted across different verticals, and you know how the consumers are behaving, it's time for you to revisit your marketing funnel and define goals and KPIs at each and every step of the marketing funnel and the customer journey. So this is how a typical customer journey looks like across the marketing funnel. It always starts with an engagement. An engagement can be in 2 forms, either an impression or in click. So the marketers have to revisit their creatives, make it as personalized, as relevant by providing vital information as possible to increase the conversion rates. And second, and most importantly, you can optimize your campaigns by understanding the installs from where you are driving from. So it is super critical for you to have an attribution or a measurement tool that will help you to understand from where you are getting this installs from, basis on which you can optimize your campaigns. Then, and most important part is the onboarding experience, because this is the first time when a user is interacting with your app. Now, this is super critical. And in fact, at the same time, it is very challenging for every marketer because the situations are changing rapidly and they have to adopt and update the content on the go, on the fly, to make it as relevant as possible. Then defining the in-app activity is again super important because it helps to understand the customer journey within the app. It will help you to understand where the maximum drops are happening. The funnel conversions will help you with the retargeting campaigns. So once you start with your re-engagement campaigns, it's super critical to make it as granular and as personalized as possible. And once you have gotten some conversions, you can always try to upsell and cross-sell. So in the upcoming slides, I have defined some of the goals and KPIs that every marketer pertaining to e-commerce and finance verticals can adopt. Here are some of the user acquisition and retargeting goals that they can adopt to. Now, coming to the goals that are related to acquisitions, it is primarily very important for you to measure the organic and non-organic split and see how it is growing month over month and also quarterly over quarterly basis. Next, it is back in the days of 2015 and 16, marketers used to measure the success as based on the CPI. So based on the cost per install, they were used to measure success. But this has changed again in 2019 as they have become more advanced and adopted the CPI model. So when it comes to engagement related goals, it is super critical to understand the daily active users and monthly active users. Check the retention rates on day 0, day 1, day 7, day 28, and day 30, basis on which you can understand when you need to start your retargeting efforts. Check in fact, Checking the uninstall rates will also help you to activate the dormant users. When it comes to the purchase related goals, suppose the goal is to understand when the first time purchases are happening, how to increase your repeat purchases, how to increase your average order value. For such kind of goals, it is super critical and important to measure and have KPIs, such as that what is the time that is taken between the first conversion, second conversion, and the third conversion. What is the ARPU rates on day 1, day 7, day 14, day 30, etc. In fact, the industry leaders, for them, they measure two primary metrics. One is day 0 and day 7 ROAS rates, and second, day 0 and day 7 purchase values. Coming to the next part of the goal, which is the funnel conversions. Now, this will play a huge and a very pivotal role in your marketing campaigns. Typically, when you define the goal as funnel conversions, you need to measure and have the KPI as percentage of installs to registrations, percentage of installs to cart, percentage of installs to purchase. Now, this will help you to understand how many users you are getting versus how many users are actually abandoning your cart. So, based on that, you can actually start your retargeting efforts early. Some of the retargeting goals, whenever you start your retargeting campaigns, make sure you measure ARPU rates and ROAS rates for your first purchase and repeat purchases. And always make sure that you're measuring reactivations because it plays a crucial role in your marketing campaigns. Similarly, the goals for finance apps, in fact, if it's installs related, again, organic, non-organic split, measure based on the CPA models, conversions related, make sure you have higher retention rates, check the percentage of click to install rates, install to registration rates, how many people have applied for the first loan or for the debit cards. In fact, when it comes to engagement related, you can have goals such as daily active users, monthly active users, check your retention rates across different categories for day 1, day 7, day 30, etc. And similarly, whenever you start your retargeting campaigns, just make sure you measure with the help of retargeting campaigns how many conversions you are getting with respect to number of people, in fact, registering or opening another account or viewing a page for that matter, right? So having all these goals and retargeting goals will help you to increase your LTV metrics and bottom line revenues. Now that you have revisited your marketing funnel and defined your goals and KPIs, let's see how marketers can maximize their marketing efficiency. Now, there are three types of medias. One is paid media, second is earned media, and the third part is owned media. Whenever you're promoting your app, in case if you're trying to get more downloads, in case you are trying to acquire more users or you're doing retargeting, you pay to certain partners and they run campaigns for you on their platforms. And this includes the likes of say Facebook, Google, sponsored tweets, print media, Snapchat, so on and so forth. So primarily you're paying to these partners to acquire users, and this comes under the paid media. The second part is earned media. This includes news mentions, influencer mentions, news advertisements, press releases, so on and so forth. While the third media is owned media, which includes channels such as SMS, blogs, social media posts, referrals, websites. Primarily, these are the channels that you primarily create for your brand and you own it. Now, this session is mainly about how marketers can maximize their efficiency. Hence, we'll focus on owned media. How you can leverage owned media across different channels. So let's see what all you can do with the help of owned media and increase your marketing efficiency. With the help of owned media, you can run your user acquisition and retargeting campaigns. With the help of owned media, you can grow your loyal user base, measure your reactivations, measure your re-engagements, drive interactions and conversions with your existing users. Since you already own these channels, why don't you capitalize on owned media? And here are some tips that you can include to lift your conversions by 2 to 5x. There are different channels such as smart banners, emails, socials, etc. And these channels you own for your brand. When it comes to smart banners, these are nothing but the banners that you place in your mobile web, which will create a frictionless experience to move your users from web to in-app. And this is necessary because the conversions on in-app is very high significantly compared to the conversions on web. And we will discuss in detail about this in the upcoming slides. Coming to your email campaigns, whenever you are doing retargeting, you have segmented users into different buckets. For example, you are retargeting to the users who have added a product to the cart in last 10 days but have not purchased. So you send them an email Now, try to make it as personalized as possible and make sure you include deep links. So whenever the user receives the email and clicks on the call to action button, there's a deep link that is embedded and that redirects the person directly to that landing page instead of the home page. Hence, it will help you to increase the conversions. The next part is leveraging social media to drive the organic growth. Again, social media is a great channel to improve your organic growth. Just make sure in every social media post, you promote it via using deep links. SMS and push notifications have proven to be the most effective channels in terms of conversions. And talking about referrals will help you to spur your loyalty and growth. Let's talk about SMS first. Like imagine a customer, imagine an advertiser is sending SMS to the customer, and it usually looks something like this, right? Like we have recently launched a gold card, and here is the link to download your gold card and get 50% off on your first order. And then there is a link provided typically, right? But this will not work in the COVID days. This is primarily because of the way the consumers are now interacting and behaving on the internet. It is highly important for marketers to revisit this strategy and make it as personalized as possible. It should be something like hi with the first name and show that you care for them. Be more empathetic and be more understanding. So include something like we value your safety the most. And then at Grofers, for example, we have opted for the touchless payment solutions. And here is a gold card exclusive for you. And make sure you include a deep link. Now, this is the shortened version of the deep link, which is a dynamic link. And it is a branded link. So whenever the customer clicks on it, so the conversion rates are very high. In fact, for SMSs, whenever we include the links, deep links, we have seen a conversion rates of up to 19%. Talking about the QR codes, lately we have seen a great adoption of QR codes as well, as it serves to be a great channel to reach out to the users. You can place this QR codes anywhere in your SMSs, email campaigns, etc., and measure the effectiveness of these campaigns. And the fun fact about QR codes is that in QR codes, you can store up to 7,000 characters, as it's in the 2D format, so you can store it horizontally and vertically, right? When it comes to social media, there are over 330 million Indians on social media platforms. And the traffic in social media is higher than ever. There are more than 87% increment in terms of the usage compared to the pre-COVID days. Hence, this will serve as an effective medium to drive higher conversions. So whenever you are promoting your own brand via social media campaigns, make sure you deep link the users. So whenever the user clicks on the particular link, he or she is redirected directly to the landing page, whichever the promotion is happening, and not to the home page. Also, make sure you run some promotionals and incentivize your fans to get higher followers and to get higher traffic. Now, talking about the referrals. Now, referrals have proven to be most important way to drive app virality. Imagine this: if your advertiser is running an app campaign, consider Starbucks, and I'm a loyal user of Starbucks. If Starbucks says me, okay, I'll give you $25, refer Starbucks apps to the user, and whenever the user or their friend installs this Starbucks app and orders his first coffee, we will give you and your friend, both of them, $25 off on their first purchase. Now, this is incredible, right? In this way, you're not only increasing your loyal user base, but in a way, it's working for you. The conversions rates are very high. It's a win-win situation, basically. This is the referrals, growth loops, and engagement loops. How it works is basically you have acquired a new user. The new user discovers your product. You re-engage the user and try to increase the conversions and run some campaigns. What the new user does is the same thing. Whenever you're running this campaigns, new user performs a share, sends this to a friend, and in fact, the friend installs. The friends also get some incentive, and the user also gets some incentive, and they stay within the app. With the help of this, your retention rates are also higher, the stickiness rates are also higher. Hence, this is highly recommended and must to have a referrals program in each and every brand out there. Always make sure you incentivize referrals to spur loyalty and growth. Now, here is the secret sauce for you, how you can drive and get most highest efficiency than ever. Turn your web visitors into your app loyal users. Acquire your users on web, convert in app to get highest cross-platform ROI than ever. Let's see how you can do that. Now, as you all know that this mobile web is still the most leading source of traffic ever, where the brand discovery happens the most. Why? Because the intent is super high on mobile webs. And also on mobile webs, the cost of acquiring a user is critically very low compared to driving an app install. Thus, for marketers, it makes much more sense to acquire users on web than on app. Then how about apps, right? Well, apps serves as a great medium to convert them because the user journey is seamless and the user experience is tremendous. Hence, the conversions in apps are much higher. Thus, for marketers, it makes sense to acquire users on web and convert users on app. Now, imagine this, right? When you combine these two sources, it becomes a super powerful medium to get higher ROI. How you see, right? When mobile web serving as a cost-effective channel, and apps is where you convert the users the most. In mobile webs, the intent is critically super high compared to the apps. 89% of the users discovers brands while searching on the web, and 70% of the conversion still happens mostly on mobile mobile apps. When you convert these two mediums, you'll have tremendous results. And how you can do this is simply by placing a smart banner in your MWeb. I'm pretty sure you would be having high MWeb traffic. So whenever you place smart banners, whenever the user comes to your MWeb, they see the smart banner, they click on download button, and they move to your app. As you see, the conversions are higher in the app. Thus, it's a win-win situation for everyone. Now, but whenever you implement smart banners, it is critically very important to understand the source from where the user came from. Primarily with the help of smart banners, you will get to know that, okay, this users are coming from banners, and say 100 users came from banners and 30 installed and 10 purchased. But you would not know the source. To understand the source, it is critically important to include the dynamic attribution parameters inside the smart banners. Once you have placed that, you will get to know the exact source through which the users are coming to your MWeb platform. Let me just help you run through an example. Imagine you are running two campaigns. One is email campaigns, one is web search campaign. In total, you got 200 clicks, 100 from each campaigns, and 200 users actually went to your mobile web. Upon landing on the mobile web, they saw your banner placed over there. They clicked on this banner, and then they moved to download phase and they install your app. Now, you know that out of 200 users who came to MWeb, 60 users install your app, and of which 30 made an in-app purchase. Now you see here, typically the conversion rates are very high over here, but it is super critical for every marketer to understand the source so that they can optimize their campaigns better. So once you have placed the dynamic attribution parameters in your smart banners, you'll be able to understand and get the true source from where you have acquired the users. As you see, out of the 100 users who clicked on your email campaign, 10 users ended up converting, while from the web search campaigns, 20 users ended up converting. This means that web search ads have been proved to be highly efficient compared to the email search campaign. So basis on this, going forward, you can plan your marketing, user acquisition, or remarketing strategies accordingly. Thus, we saw that smart banners is the best solution amongst the own media to drive marketing efficiencies and to drive better results. With the help of smart banners, you can spend your budgets wisely, you can sprint ahead without any development efforts, and the best part is that all the insights will be surfaced at the glance. Now that brings us to the last section of today's session, the 5 quick must-dos for every marketer to navigate in the times of uncertainty. The first one is communicate proactively. As we have seen earlier, it's time for every marketer to revisit their communications strategy and revise the way they are communicating to end consumers, as they have to shift their messaging basis on what matters the consumers the most. Be a more empathetic and be more understanding, as we have seen earlier. This is primarily because the digital adoption among the times of uncertainty has increased tremendously amongst the consumers. And there is a thin line between being heard and creating an unwanted noise, which as a marketer, you do not want to do that. Hence, especially it's time to revisit your onboarding strategy because this is the first time when users are interacting with your app. and try to be more creative and relate with the current situation as much as possible. Show users, leverage existing touchpoints and reach out to them via own media and show them that you are coping up with the current situations. Provide them as much information, as vital information as possible. Be more helpful, provide all the guidelines, show them you are there. In this way, by communicating proactively, you're in fact building trust and ensuring the continuity of the business. Second point is lean on data. As you know, data never lies, and it's super critical to measure everything accurately, because what gets measured gets analyzed. As we have seen earlier, how the consumers are behaving during and pre-COVID times, it's time to rely upon that data, and marketers have to revisit their communication strategy, their marketing strategy, their user acquisition funnel, their retargeting funnel, and be in line with the behavior of the consumers and make it as personalized as possible. The third point is focus on retention. Now, as you know that it is 4 to 6 times more expensive to acquire a new user than to retain an existing one. Retention plays a huge role as the competition is stiff out there in the market and everybody is trying to snatch each other's share. COVID has definitely hit the marketers hard where it hurts the most. Hence, retention will play a pivotal role. As we have seen in the earlier slides, marketers have now taken up retention as their primary focus. They're checking their daily active users rate, daily active users rate, monthly users rate, and then checking their retention rates on different days like 7, day 14, day 28 as a metric. And depending on where the drops are happening, it's super critical to reach out to users, show them that they are there, have a personalized approach, make the content more relevant, and adopt to the situations that is changing rapidly. The fourth point is have an effective remarketing strategy in place. Utilize your user attributes that you have currently and add any additional data points that you get and create the most granular segments as possible, and emphasizing on the fact that make it as personalized by providing vital information as possible. At AppsFlyer, we did a survey across different app categories such as shopping, entertainment, finance, social. And here you see the bar graphs where the blue line is for the apps that are not running retargeting, versus the green line includes the apps that are currently in fact running retargeting. Whenever the people have started their remarketing strategies early, we have seen a significant conversion rate of over 15 to 30%. In fact, it's a stat that the existing users end up converting higher of almost 67% compared to the new users that you acquire. In the shopping also, it takes more than 6 touch points before you end up converting a user. Hence, it is super critical for every marketer to redefine their marketing strategy, funnel it down, break the users into different granular segments, and reach out to them by a personalized approach. And coming to the last point, yes, definitely double down on engagement. As we have seen earlier, as how banners have proved to be an effective medium to move users from web to app and increase your marketing efficiency. Hence, it is super critical for every marketer to implement a banners, because it will act as a bridge between your web users and your app. At the end of the day, as a brand, you want higher conversions. Hence, banners will prove to be a most effective medium where you convert users and move from web to app. And talking about push notifications, yes, push notifications have been greatly adopted across all the brands. It proves to be a very effective channel to reach out to the consumers, to re-engage with the consumers, increase your stickiness rates, and in a way increase your retention rates. So hence, I would like to say double down on engagements via both the mediums and drive higher and better results. So
yeah,
that
like I start using apps when they send push notifications saying like you got an offer, 50% off, limited time, etc. That actually tempts me a lot. I hope
yes.
that many of us also, like many of others also was watching, like will be tempted on that.
Absolutely. But the critical part is that it's not like you just show the push notification in the form of, say, there's a 50% off, grab this gold card now. but it has become even more vital to show that, okay, you care for the consumers. Because in these times, when you show that effort, consumers are never going to forget that. And they are going to stay with your app and be loyal to you. So instead of saying that, okay, here's a gold card for you, just say, be more empathetic. Like, we trust your safety the most. We have introduced a contactless delivery solutions. And this gold card is exclusively for you, as we understand that everybody is in lockdown phase. And and primarily you can avail this to basically get like 50% off in the first purchase, something like that. And even more critical aspect is that it's super critical. Like, even you're running this campaigns, say user acquisition, retargeting campaigns, but the most critical part is the measurement of it. Like, whenever you're running in-app events, it's to map the in-app events, because whenever it is delivered. So what will happen is that when you map in-app events, you know the exact flow of it, what the users are doing within the app, right? So hence it becomes super critical to understand the customer journey. Um, Thus, that brings us to the end. I would like to end today's session with a quote from Winston Churchill, stating that never let a good crisis go waste. It's time for every marketer out there to reach out to their customers, as now they know how their customers are behaving during the times of COVID. Leverage own media as much as you can across all the touch points, and primarily it will help you to reduce your budgets and increase more efficiency, and thus drive better results.
Great.
So again, thank you so much for your time, and open to questions, if any.
Thank you so much, friend. So we did have a really good insightful session, and there are some questions also which has been posted by few of the audiences. The first one is like Abhishek Arjun. So he asking
Okay.
about like what about rural and urban usage of mobile or internet or data?
Great.
Asking like how is it different? Like how is it on rural versus urban? Like do you have any stats or something?
Right. So internet penetration has increased significantly in both the areas, be it rural or be it urban, right? As they have more options, as they have more availability of cheaper internet plans. But when it comes to stats, obviously I can check and get back to you on that if you want the exact stats. But overall, we have seen higher internet penetration rates across both the rural and urban areas.
Yeah, even like personally, we have seen that lots of growth, particularly happening on from tier 2 and tier 3, because everyone are like were forced to like sit at home with lockdown being strictly imposed, and people have no other job other than watching internet and then like spending time online playing games, etc. So definitely like Abhishek Arjun. So even though we don't have like exact numbers, but still we have been seeing like really good traction coming from like all over the region, like all over the country actually.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
So next question is like, what is the use case for retail apps? So like, how do we use for retail industry? Like how app can be promoted for retail industry is a question posted.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, I would just emphasize on the fact that, see, imagine you are currently getting 10 users, right? Your main goal is, say, acquiring users, and you are promoting via paid media or earned media, right? And you are ended up paying like 100 rupees to acquire 10 users. Leverage own media, because imagine this: instead of paying 100 rupees and getting 10 users, you are ended up paying 50 rupees and acquiring 8 users. You are saving this 50 rupees, and you are getting the remaining 2 users for free. This is an organic traffic that you are getting from your own media campaigns. Hence, again, the recommendation here is start leveraging own media as much as you can. And the most important part is, whenever you're promoting, just make sure that you relate as much as possible with the end consumers and provide as vital information as possible. Uh, because of that, consumers will be able to relate with your brand and trust your brand the more, because whenever you say that, okay, we are there for you, your safety is of most importance to us. Now, this is something that you're creating value out of it. Here, you are not marketing or just selling your product. You're not saying that, okay, my product is better and you should use this. In fact, you're saying what values you can gain by using my product. So building value is more important than selling it. It's always, they always say, right? You should always have a unique brand proposition in place than a unique selling proposition. Hence, it is always important and critical to create more value than to actually market a product.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point put forward, Shane. So adding to that, like we also have seen that particularly those who are employing referral code. So this time, like many of them are wanting to save a lot of money, like whatever way possible. So right
Yeah.
from like Amazon Pay, like many of them are giving cashback offers or referral cashback, referral bonus, etc. So that is also something which can be exclusively leveraged not only for retail but in general as a whole. Like how Shane also earlier pointed out, that also might help actually to.
Absolutely, absolutely. So nowadays, many people are in fact leveraging partnerships aspects as well. They are tying up with existing companies and trying to promote app installs. So in a way, they are reducing their campaign budgets also.
Yeah. So there have been like quite a number of questions coming in.
Sure.
So the next question is from Kutika. So
Okay.
which marketing strategy can be used for which consumes less time and most views? Like
Like,
basically time, like whichever can be quickly deployed. Which kind of marketing strategy like quickly deployed and get the maximum traction out of that?
okay, that's a great question. Very interesting. So the thing is, again, something that can be done super quickly, right? Is that again via your social media posts. Again, whenever you leverage SMS, for example, you need a partner to reach out to your customers. Whereas the social media posts are the ones that you own, are the ones that you have created. So having a creative in place and just adding a content and the relevant content basis on the current situation will help you to go there a long way. And in fact, you can have a quick turnaround for social media campaigns.
Yes. So next question is any tips for first time app marketer? It's a very good
Any
interesting
tip?
question actually.
I'm sorry. Any good tip for app?
App marketer, like any first time, like any tips for first time app marketer, like first time they want to
Right.
promote an app.
Okay, amazing, amazing. Great. Well, we have seen SRNs to be a very effective medium. When we say SRNs, right? SRNs are the likes of say Facebook or Google or Snapchat to be a very effective medium to drive users. But again, it boils down to how you optimize your campaigns. It's super critical to optimize at an ad set level. So maybe for the starters, don't depend on any one channel. Again, have a continuous source of experiments, run A by B tests, see which creative is working well versus which creative is not. And most importantly, have a accurate attribution or a measurement tool with you that will help you to see and analyze the trends on which campaign is performing well at what ad set levels. Basis on that, you can revisit your strategy and change it. So yes, so I
Yes,
would
Shane.
say that, yeah.
So adding on to that, like if you have budget constraints, then definitely like you can go for app store optimization. So you can
Yeah,
actually put in all the relevant keywords, provide the more in like the more information, the better, and like provide videos, provide like really good informative creatives on the Play Store or App Store, and then see like how it can be like leveraged better. Also, please make sure that you answer all the queries posted on the comments. Many of them will be
absolutely.
posting lots of questions. Like they might be highlighting users also. Actual users also might be highlighting issues. Please make sure that you actually address those issues. That is when like word of mouth actually helps in growing. So it's
Absolutely,
very
absolutely.
important.
Absolutely. In fact, Sundar, just to add on to that, in fact, nowadays we have seen a great increase in a creative format that's called as playable ads. It's a sort of a GIF format, a 5 or 6 GIF format. So it describes the entire flow on how the app will behave. So the onboarding flow is shown in that creative. Now that becomes trustworthy and users exactly know. So whenever they click on the ad, okay, they are like amazed and they know, and the expectations are actually matching now
Perfect.
with the
It's very
creative
interesting
aspects
point
as well.
actually.
So
That is very
yeah,
interesting actually. Like even
yeah,
like I am thinking about it, like it looks like the user journey, the user experience is going to be like much better actually when they know exactly like what this app is going to do.
exactly. Because when you set the right expectations, that is when you will get more loyal users and retention rates will be higher. So at the first stage during the interactions only, during the engagement phase only, you are setting the right expectations, and that will help you go a long way.
Right. So the next question is from Ajay. Is this relevant for B2B industrial products? Any case study? So it's a
Wow.
very good question actually from Ajay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even let us consider like India Mart, for example, or like Alibaba, for example. So if they have an app and if can be like if everything can be promoted, definitely we can do app install campaigns or like even promote it and then see like conversion happening, like conversion happening within that B2B segment as well. So not necessarily that it is like only for B2B, sorry B2C. So even B2B can actually leverage it to the best extent possible. So we have already seen that compared to web, app has higher conversion rate. So at least like if app web conversion rate is around 2 to 3%, app conversion definitely will be around 10% minimum. That is, I mean, around 10%, 8 to 10% is something we have seen it. So definitely, it can be applied even to B2B as well, Ajay. Another question from this one is like, what is a good cost per install for apparel brand?
Now that varies. It varies totally with respect to brands. There's no specific CPI for per se. But then again, continuously optimize your budgets, optimize your spends basis on the creatives that you upload and run via social media channels, right? So anyways, you will always get a rough estimates whenever you Google it. It's very different from apparel vertical versus a cosmetic or versus say somebody who is trying to promote the furniture for that matter.
Yeah.
So there
So
is a
if
wide range. There's no particular a certain one answer to that. It can be even 10 rupees or 15 rupees or say 20
correct.
rupees. So, but I would like to mention here is that see, CPI gone are the days of CPIs, because CPI should not only the goal, because it is not about the app installs, right? It is all about the users you are converting. You don't want to just get a set of users who stay in your app. You want to make sure that they transact and through which you get the money, right? So the conversions plays a huge role. Now the conversions can be defined in different things, like what is the conversion ratio for registrations when people are installing, are they registering or not? And the people are installing, are they actually moving down the funnel in your app? And at the end, are they making a purchase or not? So these are the action points that is critical, that matters the most. Hence, nowadays, marketers are moved from a CPI model to the CPA model. And basis on that, they're paying to the partners. So I would prefer to always have a CPA model in place whenever you start to leveraging or start to promote your apps or brands for that matter.
Yeah. A question from Chirag. There's a lot of fear amongst the people regarding data safety, as there are cases of data phishing being reported widespread. So, how can we create trust among the users to whom we send email? So, how does email marketing going to address these trust issues, data privacy issues, etc.?
Got it. That's a very interesting question, Chirag. Amazing. So you won't believe that, we have seen that fraud has been had a tremendous growth, especially in India. Uh, Out of every 10 installs, in fact, that happens, of that, at least 2 to 3 installs are fraudulent installs, right? So it is super critical for the marketers whenever they are scaling, right, to have a certain product that will help you to mitigate these frauds. Frauds are of different patterns, like click flooding, for example, like device forms, for example. Like, just to give an example, how device forms works is that whenever, like, it works in this way, right? User installs, uninstalls, resets their device ID. And then the process continues: install, uninstall, reset your device ID. Now, in this, what is happening is that you are getting an install, but this install itself is a fake, because the process is continuing, and this is a fraudulent install. And like this, there are different types of fraudulent installs that exist in the market. Thus, it is super critical to have a type of a fraud tool along with you, like a P360, which helps you to prevent fraud in real time, right? And and in fact, certain tools also have taken up some things like post attribution fraud. So many times, what happens is that fraudsters become more advanced. So they adopt to the new changes that the fraudulent tools bring in, and they try to bypass them. So, in fact, having a good tool will help you understand the fraudulent post attribution installs. So, even after the install has happened, you will get to know that this was a fraudulent install. So, you can go back to the partner and say that, okay, this is a fraudulent install, boss. I'm not paying for you for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great point, great question actually. So adding on
Yeah.
top of that, like you can also like definitely like you can showcase like more positive reviews in your creative copies, and then you can also like assure that like all the data has been safe, securely stored in India, and then like like all the like you can maybe explain about the security, like how quality or security system is in place, so they don't have to worry about the whether information is going to be leaked or being stolen or something like that. So definitely it can be, if
Correct.
there are highlighting, if the issues have been highlighted, definitely that can be a campaign or SMS or something like that could be sent if at all that's a case where yeah.
Absolutely, Sundar. It's all about at the end of the ensuring trust, right? So whenever you, in fact, you're running email or SMS campaigns, also you include this deep links. So have a branded links. Do not have a random links. So in that way, what will happen is that people will suspect that this is a fraudulent link, and people will hesitate to click on it. So in that way, your conversion rates will also go low. So again, as Sundar mentioned, yeah, those were the critical pointers that you can implement to make sure that you have good conversion rates and avoid fraud.
Correct. And a good question from Dhruvi, like during the crisis, what is the suggestion to the companies which are severely affected? What should their strategies be? Like the
Right.
companies which are severely hit by lockdown and the COVID, like
Right.
maybe like retail ones or like
Oh, this
like
taxi aggregators, this Make
yeah,
My Trip or
correct, correct.
the matter, yeah, travel and hospitality is badly hit, very badly hit because of the COVID. Their cash flows, everything have taken a steep decline, right? But again, for them, so at the end of the day, everything is about driving efficiencies, right? In this scenarios, they cannot afford to market via and pay higher amounts to get an install or get an action, right? At the end of the day, so it is super critical. Again, leverage own media across different channels, be it social, be it SMS, be it email, and the most importantly are the banners. Leverage push notifications as much as you can to make sure that users stay within your app, and you can utilize these channels to again reach out to these users and acquire more users. Implement this the referral scheme, right? It proves to be a very effective medium. It will help you to gain more loyal users and organic traffic as well.
Yeah. And another question from Chirag. So as we can see, a lot of consumers are actually unsubscribing to the email option. So what kind of advice will you be able to share it with the like others? Like how do we make it more attractive and prevent it?
Right. Again, so that is dependent on every marketer how they design their email templates. Make sure it's trustworthy. Make sure it's more relevant because it at the end of the day it's all about driving value, right? It's not that you are marketing your product. So show them the value that they will gain, and again, so basis on that you will reduce your unsubscription rates as well.
Correct. Maybe like some of them might be having like too many frequent emails also being email blast also will be happening. So that also could be one of the reasons why there's a high unsubscription rates going on. So maybe look at the frequency at which you are like targeting the users and see who is reading, like whoever has a better open rate, and then whoever is like having the least open rate. Maybe you could categorize this into different cohorts, and then whoever is more responsive towards your communication, maybe you can be little more extra frequent. But the ones who are least responsive, maybe you should not be blasting, and then you should be having a separate strategy where you will come up with different strategy altogether. Maybe the kind of communication is not like tempting them. Maybe you could think through like why certain users are dormant, but they're not much interested towards like activating your they're not coming to your like app or not making any purchase or like not being active. Maybe you could think through. Maybe you could even talk to some of the dormant users if possible, and then try to understand what is the pain point and what is not motivating them, and accordingly you can base a strategy so that it will definitely help.
Absolutely, absolutely. Make your communication as relevant as possible in the uncertain times. And on the similar lines, you see, right? There's a thin line between being heard and creating an unwanted noise. So,
Yes.
yeah.
So next question is from Yash. Any stats or parameters to judge impact like uninstalls or forced updates on app? So any feedback on how transition a user to actively update that app? It's a very good question actually. So
Right.
who like before someone, like are we seeing any uninstall happening? Maybe they're like, I don't use it anymore. Like should you like update it? Maybe like it's better to uninstall it.
Right, absolutely. So one is the critical factor is you measure your uninstall accurately, right? as you know that having a good measurement tool in place will help you to tie it back to the source from where you acquired, and from the source where you are getting higher uninstall rates. So you can just eliminate the budget from there and then optimize your campaigns. But then they'll reduce your uninstall rates. But whenever you're trying to force an update to your app, right, you would have seen a higher uninstall rates as well. These are primarily the users who in fact are dormant, are basically installed but have not have not used your app. So it is primarily more important than ever to regain the interest of your users by showing them the things that they like the most. And this way, once you reactivate them, they'll happily upgrade to the latest versions.
Correct. Also, please use like a third-party analytics and app analytics to understand like where the users are coming from, like what is the retention rate for each every channel, and particularly those who uninstall. Let us go back and identify what is the source from where they were doing, like how, like is there any similarity between those who uninstall? Maybe that will give a better clarity on like what is the issue, and then we could actually fix it, and then like see the number of uninstall being dropped. That is also a way to go after. Another question from Kamal Shabir. So we are a weight management company. We are not intent to launch any app, but want to make our company to new users as we do only online consultation, and we need some help in marketing. Okay, so if you're not planning to launch an app, but you just want to understand like how do we go online and then succeed online, maybe we could have a separate session on this one. Like
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah. So Aditya has an interesting question. So UPI transaction increased tremendously and set records in June. Was there a natural demand for fintech apps, or were businesses going heavily on paid acquisition? It's a very good question actually from Aditya. So
okay. Can you repeat it? Sorry.
Basically, like fintech apps, like UPI based apps, are they like were they going like heavily on paid acquisition to get all the users, or like naturally there was a demand organically itself, like people were actually looking for it?
Well, that's a very relevant question. So the thing is, primarily we have seen a great adoption amongst consumers of both while they're purchasing online and also paying online, right? So overall, the fintech as an industry has grown, apart from the sectors such as loans, which were badly impacted. So for them, the organic traffic has increased because of the availability of more resources and the advanced in technology. They're making payments online more than ever, and avoiding the risk of getting exposed or going outside, right? So yes. So to answer to that is yes, we have seen a huge traffic increase in the fintech apps.
Perfect. And another question from Chirag. So Chirag is having like another interesting question for us. So you have talked about this referral scheme. So, but a lot of college-going students and others use the app as long as the scheme exists, and later they uninstall that app. So, how to retain such customers? It's a very, very, very interesting question actually. A college student, they uninstall as soon as the referral program gets over, and they can't get any outcome out of that. Not only college students, Raj, many of them, if they're like, if not a regular use case based app, definitely they try to milk as much as possible from the referral scheme. And beyond that, if it doesn't serve the own purpose, right, that's when definitely you will be able to see lots of uninstall going on. That is why it's extremely important. Who do you go after, and like what kind of audiences you acquire? So if you acquire anyone and everyone, for example, on Google, there's something called UAC, volume install campaign. If you do it, it will go after anyone and everyone who likely download your app. That necessarily mean that no, they will be logging in, they'll be using the app. So that is why it is very important for us to focus on deeper funnel in-app, like medium or login focused campaigns, or who are likely like focus on a mid funnel, bottom funnel quality oriented campaigns, and do retargeting and see like which one works. So any other points, friend?
No, I think you have covered pretty much everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. So at the moment, that's all we have for the Q&A section.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shane, for your insightful session, actually. No, even I learned a lot, particularly like how owned media can be leveraged. So, like multiple ways to leverage our own media, like using, particularly my favorite one was like, how do we use that, like banners, smart banners. That is extremely interesting. And then also the way you mentioned about GIF, like walking them through, like 5-frame approach where actual usage from top to bottom, like how exactly this app experience is going to be. That is like really a very very interesting outcome for me, and definitely like me, like all others who have been watching your like webinar definitely will be taking away like lots of important points, and I'm definitely hopeful that many of them will be succeeding.
Awesome, Sundar. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the invite, and really happy that we could do this together. And yeah. And look forward to, in case if you have any questions coming up, just feel free to reach out to me, and yeah, happy to answer those as well.
Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone. So we appreciate you being here, and also request you to please share your feedback. So feedback helps us a lot in understanding like how the session is, like how we could improve the session, and then how we can add more value to you, so that like you will be enriched with all the knowledge, whatever like all the expert section could bring in. So definitely the feedback is extremely important. Request you to please help with that. So Jigar Doshi has asked a question. So we are a tower clock manufacturing company that is monopolized in India. So we have a very selective customer base. What strategies do you suggest? Jigar, we could actually take up this session offline. So I will share my email ID here. So Jigar and Kamal Chabria can actually share your questions here, so that we could we could have a separate discussion on this and help you out.
Awesome, amazing.
Yeah. So request you to please provide the feedback. I have just provided the link for the same. And another question from Kritika actually. Social media has many fake apps to collect consumer data. Even I use similar apps or any app under or any app under a good banner. How do I gain good customer trust as a newbie? So basically, Kritika is telling that there have been lots of fraudulent apps being available. It seems, for example, many fake apps, they just try to provide some valuable information, but they try to steal all the personal information and then try to sell it, but in the guise of more valuable and trusted app. So how do we distinguish ourselves from all the fraudulent apps in the market, so that we have our own this one?
Right. Very interesting perspective. So the thing is, like we mentioned earlier, right? See, brands are now communicating more than ever, and it is super critical for every consumer to actually do some research before they actually download, right? As you don't know if the app is actually phishing data, whatever it is for that matter. So at the end of the day, if you trust the app, go ahead and download. If you don't trust the app, the choice is always yours. Yeah. Awesome.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in for today's webinar. We hope that you had a great experience and great learning outcomes out of this, and hope you take all the key takeaways from today's session and implement in your marketing strategy. So hopefully you get more out of app marketing and with less spends.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Yeah.